One of the best parts of game drives in the 75,000 hectares of this magnificent reserve in the Northwest Province are the bush breakfasts and long winter dinners.
Winter is about staying warm and sharing hearty meals with friends. We're at the Madikwe Hills Private Game Lodge with David Higgs and friends to show us how to enjoy the perfect winter getaway.
Our company included Woolworths food product developers, chefs, wine connoisseurs, and our award-winning chef.
David, what inspired your love for cooking?
I grew up in a small town in Namibia called Walvis Bay, and we used to go fishing before school in the morning. Come home with a couple of cob, leave them for mom to clean up, and when we got home at night, that's what we used to eat. So I think probably that was my first sort of introduction, and then probably the main thing is my mom was one of 10 kids.
Wow.
And a lot of things happened around the kitchen table. One of my earliest memories was making cook sisters with my gran, and there was a sheep's head in the oven, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess without even knowing, that's probably where it all really started.
Steve, do you have any food memories? Any winter food memories?
For me, I've spent 35 years of my life having winter in the UK, and it's been December, so it's been roast dinners with the family, and now suddenly winter's dry and clear and warm for me. I mean, this is great, but it's still about a roast dinner with friends and family, I think, is the closest thing for me.
Yeah, for me, absolutely. It's my mom making a beautiful bowl of butternut soup with that all-essential squeeze of orange juice. In winter, you've got to have citrus. And then just family holidays, just spent together, hanging out. It's amazing.
What better getaway could there be than a reserve stretching up to the Botswana border? All grassland, mountain and bushveld with 86 kinds of mammals from mice to elephant and the royal family of any reserve, lion.
I've been on many safaris, but this never gets old.
The Pride might have eaten, but our party had only had breakfast. So we returned to Little Madikwe, a standalone family-friendly camp where booking the 2-bedroom suite and additional 2 luxury suites means you have the entire camp to yourselves. It comes with a personal butler and childminder, which is usually music to any parent's ears. Your party gets a private game drive vehicle and game ranger. You have your own camp lounge, veranda and dining room, plus a private kitchen with a personal chef. We were catered for with our A-team of Woolies foodies, who brought a wealth of their finest winter seasonal ingredients.
I think what we're going to start off with, and especially now that it's getting a bit chilly for winter, is sweet potato soup. The sweet potatoes in season at the moment, the red skin ones, really, really good flavour. And especially with winter coming, I thought a bit of fresh ginger.
Oh, nice.
Juice the ginger, we put it in right at the end so it gets full flavour. And then cardamom is really the main ingredient here. Sweet potato by itself is fine. I mean, it's got good flavour and everything else. But the cardamom gives it the interesting texture on the tongue.
Do you need to roast it first though?
Very, very important. Just crack them open and you can either dry roast them in a pan or you can pop them in the oven or whatever and it'll get a beautiful effect. But smell that, just it's really beautiful. And obviously they're used in curries and biryanis and that kind of thing. So
I find cardamom a little bit of an intimidating spice.
You got to be careful with it. As delicate as it is, it can overpower. So you don't want to be doing that.
Once you've melted your butter, you only want to sweat the onions, not brown them. To this, add your roasted sweet potato and cardamom, followed by your vegetable stock and coconut milk to lighten. Passing the soup through a sieve leaves any potential cardamom husks behind. And the final product is a revelation.
There they come, guys!
These are mine!
We've literally finished the soup, we've blended it, we've strained it, and the last thing we need to add is a little bit of the ginger juice.
It's quite an interesting element, the ginger biscuits.
I like the sweetness that it adds, I like the spice that it adds, and texture, and it really is pretty cool. So.
Rebecca Constable is a passionate developer of food products, now specializing in wine. Since David's had a cooking school on one wine estate and a fine dining restaurant on another, he has a particular interest in which varietals and vintages she suggests for these dishes.
Could you use a red wine for this?
No, not really, because you need the sweetness that comes from this Chardonnay and also the richness, which then complements the soup. So the soup's got this great richy creaminess about it, and this wooded Chardonnay has got the same, so they're a match.
Yeah, definitely spot on with the wine pairing. Yeah.
Dinner had only just begun.
Everybody loved that soup.
Such a simple soup, but it's a good one.
Now we need to top that up.
Yeah.
No pressure.
So this really is one of my favorite dishes. It's a lamb neck that we've just taken the bone out. We've re-rolled it with lots of herbs, and we're going to cook it what they call en sous vide. So it's in the water bath. Okay. When it comes to cuts of meat that are tougher than normal, that are a little bit more difficult to cook, it's much better way to cook it. You get less shrinkage. There's a whole lot of benefits.
Right.
But the main thing is obviously the flavor and the texture, which is awesome.
I'm loving your mise en place. A lot of colorful vegetables here.
To remind us of the summer. Yeah. Lovely warm carrots. So in essence what we're going to do is we're going to do a stew, sort of a casserole, but we'll do it in a modern way. Quite fresh, hasn't cooked for hours and hours. Literally what we have is a selection of heirloom carrots. We've got some beautiful baby Savoy cabbage here. The leaves add lovely color. And then one of my favorites obviously is beans, broad beans that are in season at the moment, and some fresh green beans. Right at the end, what we'll do is we'll chop lots of fresh herbs and we'll sort of fold that through into the vegetables. So we still got a stew and we still got this concept of something that's been cooking for ages, but we got incredible color on the plate and we got lovely freshness with the herbs. What is interesting, very, very quickly, just as we finish, is
I was wondering what that was.
The fennel pollen. So we got these lovely little fennel pollens, and
it must have immense flavor.
Yeah, smell. Lovely, yeah. So we're going to sprinkle that on just when we finish. That's pretty cool.
Fabulous.
The character of the beans, the South African taste for the sweetness of apricot with lamb, and the celeriac mash made for some combination. Trained chef Ander Dlepu makes an art of combining ingredients, wine choices, and trends. So like Rebecca was in his element.
There's something so nostalgic about winter food. The colors, the flavors. Doesn't this just take you back?
Completely. And I'm sorry, Mum, but your stew never looked like this.
Hopefully she's not watching.
So tell me, David, I've just tasted the lamb. I don't know, has the way you've cooked it maybe enhanced the flavour in any way? Because it's absolutely tender and so flavourful.
Yeah, with the method of cookery that you use, it's the sous vide method in the bag.
Okay.
That no flavour is lost. Everything is kept in. So it's so intense and well picked up. And it's almost sweeter.
It is.
I don't know if you taste, but it's really sweet in flavour.
Rebecca, you didn't even tell us about this wine.
It's a Malbec, so I thought we'd go for something a little bit different. A Malbec is sort of between a Cab Sauvignon and a Merlot. It's lively, robust fruit, but it's got a lovely smooth finish and a little bit of spice. And that's really what's going to hold up well against sort of lovely winter stews, or a modern winter stew like we have here.
Oh, very nice.
While we all tried to identify the flavors along with the night sounds coming from the bush, David and Steve set about dessert.
We're going to do a little, almost like a little French toasty kind of a thing with brioche.
Okay.
Apples are in season. We've poached it in some dessert wine. I think the X factor with this dish is the custard that we make. We make a typical custard with lots of egg yolks, but we also put a bit of curry powder into it. So it's almost a bit of a surprise, you know. You got your lovely poached sweet apples, and we've got the little brioche that's been cooked nicely, like a little bit of a French toast, pampardou as they call it, and then the curry anglaise. And we just topped it off with a little bit of a caviar that we made from the Riesling. So it should be fun, but quite simple.
What was the thought behind putting curry into dessert? I mean,
well, you know what? And again, just with winter and the nice warming sort of effect that it has, I just thought it could be quite nice. And curry and apple is always a huge favourite.
yeah.
The nice thing about this as well is you don't have to only use apples, you can use a couple of pears as well. So it's actually a bit of fun.
David's enjoyed an extraordinary life through food. On many occasions, he's cooked for Nelson Mandela at Tynhuis in Vergelegen, treasuring every time he heard Madiba talk on any subject. He's taught students who have come from nothing to become something through cooking, and he's loved the mentoring. Yet his kitchen is his own.
Steve, you're also a chef, and watching the two of you, is there any manly rivalry in the kitchen?
There's always competitiveness, I think, in the kitchen. Everyone's quite alpha, everyone really wants to kind of be the best, but you always know who the boss is, so you kind of work with that.
Good answer.
To rediscover a world of tastes and aromas, log on to our website for a link to the Woolworths Flavour Society you'll really want to be part of.